Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Amanda Fest podcast. My name is Amanda, and my intention here is to inspire and empower you to take aligned action towards your dream life, whatever that looks like for you. I have a very special guest here today, my friend Maureen. She has generated over 20 million views, coaching clients worldwide to achieve viral success. She also hosts her own podcast. And she recently launched her own app called Rejecto, which was designed to help people conquer their fear of rejection and build confidence. Today, we're going to be diving into the strategies, mindset, and tools that helped her turn uncomfortable moments into a thriving career. We're going to be talking about rejection therapy, delusional goals, and why duct tape and fruit snacks just might be the secret to productivity. But as we've done with every single episode, before we dive into this juicy conversation, I just want to take a moment for us all to ground down. So wherever you are, whatever you're doing, I invite you to close down your eyes if it feels safe to do so. I always like to put a hand on my heart and one on my belly. And just start noticing, tuning into your internal space. We're just going to take a couple cleansing breaths together, in through our nose and out through our mouth. And with the inhale, we're going to think of something that we're calling in, an intention we'd like to set for this experience together. With the exhale, we're going to think of something that we'd like to let go of. So nice deep breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. Two more just like that. Nice deep breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. And last one, make it count. Nice deep breath in through your nose. Feel free to make some noise on that exhale, shake it out. Whatever you got to do to get present, get in your body. Welcome. Welcome to the Amanda Fest podcast, and welcome, Maureen. I'm so happy to have you here today. How are you?
I'm doing amazing. Yeah, I'm super excited for today's podcast. I think we're going to share a lot of value.
I'm so stoked. So we were just chatting before we hopped on. You just got back from a little traveling stint. Where were you and where are you now?
Yeah, so I went to Europe for my app startup and to meet my personal assistant, Martina. So she's based in Italy. So I flew into London and then I took the train over to Paris for a day, went up the Eiffel Tower to have my delusional little dream moment because it was on my vision board. And then I had a flight booked home from London, but then I decided, wait a second, if I were to die next week, what would I do right now? And I just skipped my flight home, booked the new flight to Italy, went to Italy for a week, stayed in an Airbnb in Italy, continued to scale the app, work with my personal assistant. She came with me, so we were just in an Airbnb together. It was so funny because she'd wake me up at like 7 in the morning and she's like, Maureen, I've been up since 5 a.m. I just booked you 6 new client calls. And then we'd close sales calls during the day, ate a lot of croissants. I don't eat gluten in America, but in Europe it was 10 out of 10. And then I flew home and it was a great trip. So it's good to be home now.
Wow, it sounds so magical. I've been following your journey on social media, and it's just been so inspiring to see somebody as young as you doing what you're doing. I started following you because you were posting tips on social media, and I've been building my platform, so I've been finding that really helpful. And then as you started to share more about your story, I was like, damn, this girl is so cool. You're only 20 years old. You seem to have created this life of just abundance and magic. I'm curious to hear about, did it all start with the rejection therapy? What was your journey into the beginning? And then we can dive a little deeper into that.
Yeah, so I grew up in a small town in the middle of Virginia, and that's actually where I am right now because I flew home for Christmas.
I see the tree in the back.
Yes, we dialed in. I started my very first business in high school and I made organic cosmetics and I mailed them out over Etsy. Ended up getting banned on Etsy for being under the age of 18 and making too many sales. Switched over to Shopify, scaled it on Shopify, generated all the orders from social media. And then that business had a magazine write an article. And because of that article, I started working at a polo club, a magazine, and a winery. This was all through high school. And I was making like $12 an hour and I was selling these like polo tickets that cost way more than $12, right? And I realized I was making more income for the business than I was making working the job. And so then I decided, wait a second, I'm going to start applying to delusional opportunities. So I watched Legally Blonde and then I decided I'm going to apply to Harvard as a joke to get over my fear of rejection. My application essay was about the symbolism of an eraser sitting in a plastic bag because I didn't know what to write about and I saw an eraser on my desk in a plastic bag. So I wrote that. I never wrote in the essay that it was about an eraser. I still don't really talk about that. But I was looking out to the translucent surface. Like I saw the blue and green lines above me, and that's like the lines on a Ziploc bag. But got waitlisted at Harvard. And they were like, wow, we thought your essay was so good. And I was like, okay. And then I realized, like, oh my God, life is a board game. Like, you can apply for anything. So then I started applying to 9-to-5 jobs. So I applied to a 9-to-5 job. It said on the application, you need to have a college degree. Obviously, I didn't have a college degree. Still don't have a college degree. And I just walked into the interview and I told them up front, hey, I want to be completely transparent. I don't have a college degree, but I want to apply. I'm really passionate about this. Just went in with positivity. And then they offered me the job over the other people applying. And then I just realized you can do anything, but you've just got to be willing to apply. And I got told no along the way a lot. But if you get told no, you're in the same place you started. So that really kickstarted my career. And then I decided to turn down the 9-to-5 job offer I got. I decided to tell my parents I wanted to take a gap year from college. I took a gap year from college, and then it became a gap life because my business did so well after the 12-month gap year that now I run it full time. But when I started my business, I kind of did that as a joke too. I was like, let me get a lawyer, let me build an LLC, let me start pitching clients at this rate. And then clients started saying yes, signed more clients, started traveling. And now I'm like, wait a second, you can do anything, but first you got to know where you're going, believe it's possible, and then duct tape yourself to a chair and put in the work to get there.
Wow. Wow, so many things to unpack there. Wow, first of all, just pat on the back. Congratulations on cracking the code of the matrix. Did you have any models? Was this modeled to you at all? Did you have entrepreneurs or people that you looked up to where you were like, okay, I see you're doing this, so I know it's possible? Or was this just like an inherent gut feeling of like, let's just fuck around and find out?
Yeah, I've had an obsession with self-improvement from a very young age. So I think I started reading Dale Carnegie pretty shortly after I learned to read for a while. Like that was some of my first real books. I just read self-improvement. And a lot of times when I read it at first, I didn't really understand it. So I reread it again and again and again. Now I've read like How to Win Friends and Influence People probably 3 times. So I would read so many self-improvement books. It actually got to a point where I had to ban reading self-improvement books because I saw too many gaps in my life to fix that it became like I was doing too much. So like I would wake up at 4 a.m. before high school. I didn't do this all through high school, but for section in high school, I'd wake up at 4 a.m., make a green smoothie, do a cold shower, do yoga. Like I thought you had to do everything. So every single tactic that every self-improvement book taught me. And then I thought, wait a second, like now my life is very simple. I feel like I have a ton of free time because I just cut out all the tasks that weren't moving the needle forward. And now I only do the essential stuff and I cut off all the fluff. But it was definitely modeled to me through self-improvement books that I read from a young age. And then also my mom has a photography business and she also has a boarding barn. So I grew up on a farm. So seeing her run her 2 businesses was definitely inspiration for me. And then my dad is very type A structured spreadsheet. So I feel like I take the whimsical side of my mom, the creative side of that, and then partner it with my dad's structured. And I feel like combining the two was very helpful for me.
Yeah, I feel like I always say you need like equal parts left brain and right brain in order to find true success. I worked in entertainment for a while. I was working with artists and I grew up as an artist. I was an actor. I studied all this stuff. But then I went into the business side of things. And then when I went into that realm, I was like, oh, there's so many people that are only one or only the other. And I was like, if you can be in that sweet spot, if you can really truly figure out how to tap into that creativity, but also tap into that like left brain logistical, let's make it happen, so much magic can unfold. That's why so this podcast, it's a manifest, right? So we're playing on the concept of manifestation and mindset and all that stuff. But I think a common misconception with manifestation is that you just like hope and dream and wish and pray and magic happens. And it's like part of it. And then the other part is like making a plan, showing up, taking the action, doing the thing. So you mentioned duct taping yourself to a chair. Can we unpack that a little bit?
Yeah, for sure. So I started doing this in high school and I never talked about it on social media because I thought it was too weird. But then I mentioned it to one of my clients and she's like, you have to share this on social media. So in high school, I took a lot of AP classes when I didn't want to write papers. What I would do is I would take Scotch tape and I would tape my leg to my desk chair, or I'd use a piece of ribbon and I'd tie myself to the chair. So like I could always untie and go get a snack. I think the misconception when I shared this on social media the first time is people thought I did this for like a week or something. But it's like, no, just do it for like a 4-hour stretch. But then it's just enough resistance that when I tried to get up from my chair, and go and do something else, you would feel that tension and it would remind you, wait, I'm supposed to be working right now because it's easy to get distracted. So I started with Scotch tape, then I moved up to duct tape, and I post on social media about like, if you want to start beginner mode, start with Scotch tape or start with ribbon, but it's meant to do it for like a few hours. It's funny, I saved that video online and it went on to get over 1 million views, and people were like, this is late stage capitalism. Like, you're working for the government, you're promoting being a workaholic. And I'm like, what they don't realize is most weeks in my business, I'm working Tuesday through Thursday, 4 hours a day, but it's 4 hours a day of like sprinting. And then the rest of the time I'm doing fun stuff like spontaneously going to the Eiffel Tower, doing whatever. So I'm like, if it requires a little bit of duct tape on those 4 hours I do work, and sometimes I'm in a sprint. Like right now I'm hiring a bunch of employees, so I am working more than 4 hours a day right now. But then next month I might be able to work 2 hours a day. But duct tape helped me get there.
The duct tape thing, yeah, it can sound extreme, but it's also like I've been ADD my whole life. And I feel like having a tactical reminder or like, you know, it's like the blinders on of just, okay, focus time, focus time. Talk to me a little bit about your idea of work-life balance and how that plays a role in your ability to show up fully for what you're doing. Because it sounds like you're just getting started. You're hiring people. You've grown exponentially since I started watching you. And seeing the way that you show up is so much a part of it. But then seeing videos of you being like, hey, I'm also prioritizing play and fun and joy. This is also important. Like I love that.
Yeah. Yeah. So in the beginning, there was no balance. In the beginning, it was 12 hours of work a day, every day. And I lived in a barn loft. I moved out at 18. I moved into a barn loft. I set up like a Walmart pop-up desk. And then I had my computer. And a lot of times I would work on the floor and I would just like work. That's my peanut butter era, which I talk about on social media. Like I would eat spoonfuls of peanut butter in between the amount of Zoom calls I was taking because I didn't have time to eat breakfast or lunch. So I would just eat peanut butter because it was high calorie enough and you could eat it quickly in between the 60-second gap I had between calls. And like, I really isolated kind of in this barn loft in the middle of nowhere, like in Virginia. And I was just like grinding. And then for 3 months, I made no income in my business, like none. And I was living off savings, like paying rent off savings. It was just like kind of crazy. And then I was like, it's going to work. If I keep working 12 hours a day, it's going to work. I was sending 20 outbound messages a day to ideal client, booking tons of calls. People weren't closing. I actually got to a point where I was walking around my small town, handing out brochures offering free marketing. And like now I charge over $1,000 an hour for marketing consulting and one-on-one support. And it's like at the time I was offering free and every single business said no to free marketing help when I was first starting. And I was like, wait, this is so hypocritical to be handing out brochures as I'm a social media marketing coach. Like, why am I handing out brochures? So then I committed, I'm going to build my personal brand and I'm going to show people that social media is the thing that can book out your business, make you an insane amount of money, be able to work from wherever. Because my first business in cosmetics, I had grown that organically on social media and it paid well using social media. So I thought when I started my next business, why am I not using social media? And then month 4 hit, we did an amazing sales month. And then I hit my first $14,000 month. I think it was 17 or 18. I think I was 18. And I was just like, whoa, like, this is possible.
This
like,
is real. This is real.
I'm like, wait a second, because it was on my vision board, right? I wrote it on my vision board, hit an over 10K month. And like now I've done so many over 10K months, but it's like in the beginning, it's like you just had to do it one time. All you had to do is make your first dollar, and then you're like, wow, I can just rinse or repeat. So I rinsed and repeat. And then the way I found balance now is because I scaled so much, I then just increased my pricing, changed my calendar structure, and then I started to form a name for myself. So people started referring me clients, and then I launched a group program so that I can meet with, like this morning, I met with like probably 10 clients at one time during an hour. And I was able to give all of them custom advice, whereas previously I would have had 10 hours of client calls. And then after that group call, I had like 5 more calls with onboarding new clients. I was interviewing a new employee. I was onboarding people into my programs. So this would have been a 20-hour workday, but instead it was 10 people in 1 hour. So I tightened it up. And now, honestly, last month, I was saving so much room for play, like just like traveling around Europe and like doing all that, that I'm like, wow, like you can have that balance. And the balance gives me room to come up with better ideas. And then when I am working, I just work really hard.
Right. I always find whenever I'm feeling stuck, there's some times where it's like, okay, I'm going to sit down, I'm going to grind, I'm going to like da-da-da. And then I'm like, also, I get the most inspiration when I'm out and about and doing things, even just walking, even just going for a walk outside for me. If I'm feeling stuck or energetically like, doing that. And then I'm like, okay, I'm ready to go. Yes. Like, okay. It's possible. Dude, this is so cool to hear. It's nice to have a real conversation too, because I do feel like sometimes with social media, I've met a lot of people, like a lot of my guests so far have been people that I've just connected with on social media, and like the relationships you build are real. Like, I think it's so important for people to remember that there's real people on the other sides of these conversations, and all the things that you're sharing, you're doing, you're the embodiment of it. You're not just like preaching, hey, this is how you should operate. You're like, hey, I've done it. It's worked. Like, just saying.
Yes, 100%. I always like remind myself, if they don't want to be you, they won't hire you. So I just look at, what does my dream person act like? When I talk about being a main character, I just stopped acting like a main character and I started acting like the director. I just looked at myself from an exterior perspective and I thought, what is the coolest, smartest, most successful version of Maureen act like? And then I look at my life and I see so many gaps. I'm like, oh my gosh, she would have done this differently. She would have done this differently. She would be running a tech company. She would be living in a 10-story apartment. I wrote down all this stuff and I was like, okay, time to move cross country, sold half my stuff, ended the lease on my cottage in Virginia, moved to the 10-story apartment. Then I ended up launching the tech company. I'm like, you can literally do anything. You just got to decide that you're going to do it and then go make it happen. And yeah, you're going to get rejected, but rejection is a good thing because it means you're hitting the edge of your comfort zone. And when I hit the edge of my comfort zone, I remind myself that this pain is the pain that kills off other people. And that's where they're stopping and they're falling. So people are like, oh, Maureen, how do you do so much? And it's like, because every time I hit pain, I like clicker train myself like I'm a dog. And I'm like, this is amazing. And then I'll let myself take a really hot shower, like eat a really good meal. Because I'm like, you just went through pain on purpose. And then my brain got addicted to seeking out rejection, applying to be on Good Morning America, applying for magazine articles. Like I've been rejected from TED Talk, I think like 3 times now. And I just love getting rejected from TED Talk. It's like the best feeling ever because I'm like, that was my comfort zone. Let me do it again and again. And if I do that again, it'll be great.
Did you see that? The CEO of Canva? Did you know about her story of like how many times she got rejected before somebody finally said, and like you hear it with everyone, any entrepreneur, actors too. Like I worked in entertainment and like to be an actor, it's no all day long. And then you get the one yes, and then you're a fucking movie star. Like, so I worked at a talent agency for a while. And then my last job before I started doing this full time, I was supporting an actor. I was running his production company, running his day-to-day. He'd been an actor since he was a teenager.
Wow.
And the entire time I worked with him, he was in this weird place of everybody in the industry was like, he's the next star. He's the next star. But it was years of, don't take this job because if you take this job, then it won't make sense. We were playing this game of chess. And I was watching him. I studied him. I just watched him. And I was like, man, his tolerance for rejection was so high. And his belief in his mind, he knew. He was like, my success is inevitable. I don't care how long it takes. I don't care how many no's it is. I'm in it. I'm staying. And it's like, it's exactly that. In my mind, I'm like, the only way that you actually fail is if you give up. Because if you keep going, like you were saying, you're like, if I keep putting in these 12-hour days, I keep showing up, it's good. And it has to work. Like it has to work eventually.
Exactly. Yeah, I like thinking about it like I call this the 52 method or the 365 method, but like if I just multiplied everything I did today by 365 days, what would my life look like in 1 year? So if I hit the gym today, in 1 year, I'm going to be way fitter. If I posted 5 videos on TikTok, in 1 year, I'd be famous on TikTok. Posted a YouTube video, I'd be a good YouTuber. But then if I look at today and I didn't do any of those things, I multiply that by 365, I'm in the exact same spot. And then one of my friends pointed out, like, Marina, would be more accurate if you did the 52 method of like, look at what you do over a week. How much content do you put out in a week? How many Zoom calls are you in a week? How many gym sessions you are in a week? Multiply that by 52. I do this when I look at people I want to surround myself with. I look at what was their week like. If I multiplied that by 5 years, what's their life going to look like? What are they going to act like in 10 years? Because it's just going to get amplified. Like, I do think life, like, people start off like, you know, at different stages depending on where they get dropped in life. But then it becomes this like process where it's like people rise, people fall, and it's based off habits, actions, and also exterior environments. But it's like so many people get tied up in the exterior environments, which is easy to get tied up in too, right? But if you sacrifice yourself to exterior and complain about the exterior, you're not internally taking action, and then you become a victim to that. Like, it's way better to just, okay, great, I can't control exterior to a certain extent. Double down on the interior and then scale that way.
Uh, I love this. I love it so much. Yeah, like for sure there are certain people that are born into certain privilege that have an easier opportunity. I even look at where I'm at right now and all the experience I've had, and I'm starting as an entrepreneur from a pretty good place. And people can look at me and say, "Oh, you're so lucky that you get to do that." And I'm like, "Well, I've worked really, really, really hard up until this point in my life to even have the opportunity to get to do this." And
Yeah.
I think the mindset element of it is it's so important. And I think also for so many people too, like to have somebody like you, like this is why I love having a podcast. This is why I love social media, because I think, I mean, I'm a little bit older than you, but I feel like when I was a kid, I didn't have examples of this. I didn't have access. I just had a gut feeling. I had this feeling in my soul where I
Yeah.
saw everyone around me. I saw my parents. I saw my friends' parents, and they're like living well, upper middle class, making good money. But I was like, this can't be it.
Yeah.
I don't want to do that. I don't want to be a lawyer. And so for me to choose something else felt crazy. And even now, as I'm stepping in entrepreneurship, it's like the only people that I have to remind me that I'm not crazy are people like you on social media, are the podcasts I listen to, are the books that I read, are the mentors that I find. It's not my immediate circle that I was in initially. And now though, but now my circle has grown, and now it's people like you in my circle. Now all my friends are doing this. I'm a big believer in you become the people that you spend the most time with. So like the 5 people that you're around the most, their habits and qualities and everything starts to rub off. So just intentionality around like, where's my time and energy going and who's influencing me? And it doesn't even need to be people that you actually know. It can be, what are you consuming? Who are you watching? Who are you reading? Who are you listening to? And what information are they sharing to you? And is it actually like exactly what you said? Do you want to be them? Do you want their life, or do you want a version of their life? And if not, pivot, reevaluate.
Yes. Oh my gosh, I could not agree more. That is so true. I think like leaning into that is so helpful in terms of like building your dream life. Like I like doing the sticky note friendship method of writing down all the people I spend the most time with on sticky notes once a year, maybe once every 6 months. I lay them out on a table and I just sort them into 2 piles. And then I schedule the people that are helping or the people that are positive or the people that I want to spend more time with. I schedule them on my calendar. I intentionally call them more. I intentionally talk to them more. And then the other people, some of them, I'm like, okay, I'm going to have to toss that sticky note. No hard feelings. I don't let the person know that they've been put on a sticky note that's been tossed.
Right.
Not intentionally going out of my way to hang out with them, because it's like I kind of like taking the easiest approach to success possible, which is it is so easy for me to be successful when my environment is conducive for success, which is why I like to that apartment in Scottsdale, because it's like I'm surrounded by other entrepreneurs who are doing it. Like when I walk into the elevator, it's like I run into people that are like, "Oh yeah, I just closed a 10K client," and I'm like, "Oh, that's normal. Yeah, that's totally normal." And like now I close clients like that, and I'm like, "Oh, like it's so
It's possible. You're
easy."
surrounding yourself in the rooms where that's possible. The idea that just came up for me as you were saying that, the question that I like to ask myself is, does it, and it could be with friendships, it could be with activities, it could be with whatever you're doing, does this nourish me or does it deplete me?
Yeah,
And
100%.
specifically with relationships, I feel that there are certain friends, certain conversations that I have. And again, this podcast, like I'm going to walk away from this conversation being like, fuck yeah, let's go do
Let's
that. And same thing, I hope anybody listening to this feels the same, where they're like, I'm feeding you the people that are going to do that. If you don't have them in your immediate circle, tune into the Manifest podcast. I'm finding them. I'm finding the people that are going to inspire you, that are going to be, and maybe you don't want to be a social media marketer. Maybe you don't want to start your own app. Maybe you don't want to duct tape yourself to a chair, but I guarantee you want to live whatever your version of your best life is. And here's an example of someone doing that and what that looks like for them and how that works for them.
100%. I love that.
Yeah. And it's like the higher self. I really love that. Like one of my favorite pieces of content that you put out. Yeah. That director one is again, coming from entertainment space. Like that just resonated with me so deeply, but it's true. The actor has no autonomy. The actor doesn't get to decide how the actor is portrayed. It's the director's vision of what it all looks like, what it all comes together. And I feel like so many people, and myself included up until a certain point in my life, the reason why people get stuck is like they don't do that audit. I feel like a lot of what you've shared so far is you do a lot of auditing. You do a lot of like zooming out, taking a look. What are my habits? Who am I spending time with? What am I doing? What are my goals? What are my visions? And I feel like those processes are like the key to
Yeah.
up-leveling your whole life.
Yes, it comes down to the audit. Cause like I could look at my day to day and I'm like, wow, I've been like on Zoom calls back to back to back. And I could think about that in terms of like, wow, I kind of just like sat at home and I was just like on my computer for like 5 hours, like taking calls. I could look like that. Or I could look at it as like, I signed so many clients today. I'm recording this podcast episode with you. This is going to go on to get over 100 downloads easily. And it's like, that's going to impact more people. So it's like all these boring tasks I did today, I kind of view it as like I'm almost creating like miniature employees of myself online that are going to go work for me and reach new people. So tomorrow, you know, like when I'm like spending time with family, stuff like my content's going to go out, reach people around the world, or like my, what I just told all my clients in coaching calls today, those clients are going to implement that. That's going to change their life. So it's like, I look at it in terms of like, I'm inspiring movement or trying to inspire as much movement as possible. And the best way to do that is to lead myself well, because I always say, like, in terms of social media, so many people are like, oh, I want 10,000 followers. And I'm like, literally, social media is just, if you want more followers, you need to show up like a leader, because followers are attracted to leaders. So how can you make yourself better?
Yeah. Oh, man. I love that. And I will say though, I was talking to someone the other day, because again, everybody now is like, I wanna like be on social media. I want this, I want that.
Yeah.
So, but somebody was saying about like content, and people are asking, what do I post? How do you know what to post? How do you post all the time? And this person who works in social media, her reply back, which I fucking love, it was like, if you don't know what to say, don't say anything.
Yeah.
You don't have anything to share. For me, the ideas are flowing. It's abundant. I have so much I want to say. I'm like, how do I only say one thing today?
Yes.
Like, you know, it's so true. And I even am realizing now, so I just did this event in Toronto where I led this activation, and I'm coming back and I got a lot of content while I was there, and I'm starting to post it now.
Yeah.
And I'm seeing my engagement really high. And I'm like, oh, when I go out and do things in the world, like, people are interested in not just me sitting at home thinking of ideas and posting things. They're like, they want to see me doing stuff for real. Like,
Yeah.
like that's what people want to see.
Yeah. It's like, how can you make yourself more interesting? And I think like that is key. So many times, like, it's creation over consumption. Stop scrolling on social media, start creating more. How can you create more? You get out in the world, you go do stuff, you apply to Harvard, you apply to start a business, you go do the thing. And then you go back and report to social media at the end of the day. Here's how I moved. Whereas so many people have their phone and they're like, what do I talk about? And it's like, if you have to think about that, you should put down your phone, go do something interesting, then come back and reflect. It's like reflecting back with a partner at the end of the day. Like, you can't tell your partner, oh, I had a great day at work today, when you didn't go to work or you didn't do anything, if you just stay at home. So it's like, you need to make your story interesting. So
you need to have something interesting to say. You know what's so funny? So when I started my personal development journey, a big piece of it for me was like, I thought about, similar to your like, what would my dream person of myself look like? What would you do? I thought about, I was like, okay, if I met me at a bar right now, the way that I was living, 10 years ago, I was like, I would think I'm so boring. I wouldn't want to talk to me, because at that stage of my life, I had just, I was working at a talent agency. I was working crazy hours, and all I was doing was working, networking, and partying. That's it. And before that, I used to have hobbies. I used to dance. I used to do all these different things. And I was like, I wouldn't even want to talk to me if I met me. What are we going to talk about? I'm not doing anything. And then I was like, okay, I'm not living in alignment. And then the pivot comes from, okay, what would me living in alignment look like? And then I started to think about, for me, like, the journey to that was like, it's like, the inner child stuff. What used to light me up when I was a kid? What brought me joy? And how can I incorporate elements of those things into my adult life? Have hobbies again, do things, have a third place. Don't just go to work and go home and drink. Like, do something. And it's a thing. If you like sports, if you like drawing, if you like being outside, just like finding what lights you up, finding what sparks joy within you, and doing those things every day. Because I agree. I'm like, now it's so easy to just work, scroll on your phone, watch Netflix, go to sleep, and try to be a content creator and be like,
Yeah.
well, yeah, you have nothing to say. You're not doing it.
Yes, that's so true. No, I completely agree with that.
Wild. So wild. Well, tell me a little bit about this Rejecto app. I'm so
Mhm.
curious about what, like, I'd love to hear. So I know you applied to Harvard, you did all this stuff, and then now, how many years later, you're creating a way in which people can do this for themselves.
Yes. Yeah. So after that video got 20 million views across platforms, I had thousands of people asking me, Maureen, how can I start getting rejected on purpose? Like, how can I do this too? So I wrote a digital book online and I've sold hundreds of copies of that. So that was the first thing I launched. And that's been selling for the last over a year now, maybe just about a
Okay.
year now. So that's been amazing. And people are like, oh my gosh, this is so helpful. Like all these people send me DMs on Instagram and they're like, I applied to get rejected and then I made this much money, or then this person said yes and then I landed this. Someone messaged me about a couple months ago and she was like, I just like stayed at this like $1 million Airbnb and like got like basically a free stay. And she's like, I just tried to get rejected and then they said yes. So like I wanted a way that I could have people do that that's easier, right? And I wanted to meet people where they're at. So I had a lot of people tell me like, Maureen, you need to get into the more tech space, right? Because I have a marketing agency. I love running that. I love coaching people. It's my favorite thing ever. But I had all these whisperings about like, what if you like started something? So then in London, because of LinkedIn, I met up with a software engineer and he had spent the last 6 months building an app about rejection. So we connected and then we decided to co-found the app. And then now in the last 28 days, we've had over 3,000 new people join Rejecto. We can see people all over the world on our map, like pinging, getting rejected,
Wow.
submitting challenges. People are inviting their friends to the app. People are competing with their friends for challenges. And it just taught me that like, you should double down on what you're good at. So like, I'm good at marketing. I'm good at social media. I'm good at like inspiring a movement. I have no idea how to code. I know myself well enough that I could spend the next 30 years trying to become a software engineer, software developer. It would not work. Like, it's just
I
not
also
my
feel
thing.
like you could. I feel like if you tried that, I feel like you'd be like next week. You're like, actually,
You're at Google this week to try to get rejected. Accidentally becomes a software engineer.
accidentally becomes the new CEO of Google. Like I can
Don't. No, but I just
You're like, I'm too busy. I'm gonna have to decline. I don't have time to do this. I'm so sorry.
yes. Yeah. Sometimes people just say yes and you don't expect it at all. But like, I decided, okay, meeting my co-founder was so amazing because it's like he's so good at building and he's so good with ideas and he's so good at like execution, and we're both productive. We both want to make a change. So like we pair together so well to like launch this app, and we just combine completely polar opposite skill sets together. And we're both transparent enough to say like if we had to do the other person's job, this app would not have worked. Like if we switched positions, it would not work. But we both doubled down on what we're good at. And then seeing all the people using the app makes me so excited. And like my goal for the next year is just to scale this app exponentially and make it the new like almost like anti-social media of like there's gonna be in the future we want to
Go
be
out and do things.
Go
do
out.
things in the world.
Go out, use your phone to motivate action to go get rejected. And we're building, so we have over 100 challenges in the app. We're building even more challenges. We just launched the new feature where people can add their own custom challenges. So now we have people around the world adding custom challenges. They're able to share that when they complete it. Their friends are giving kudos. They're liking it. They're adding retrospections. And then we're seeing the impact. And I'm like, this is the thing that I want to scale, because I think in today's society, people just need more confidence, and more confidence will help you build your dream life. And I do think people are soft nowadays. So it's like, how can you intentionally inflict hardness to then make your life better? Because on the other side of hard is easy. So you either have easy now, hard later, hard now, easy later. So it's like, I want to be the anti-social media, but then create a community, create an environment of action takers and rejection seekers that are on a mission to build their dream life, all in one app. And seeing the thousands of people download it and seeing the people leave reviews in app stores just like makes my day. And I really found like I found another.
I want Amanda Fest to sponsor this. I'm like, I fucking love this. I'm like, I love the plots and all. Like, I loved it.
This feels so good.
Maybe we can come up with some point with like an Amanda Fest like collaboration of like, oh, my brain is like because so much of it is about like getting out there, taking action, doing the thing. And also like fun and play and joy. I wanted to loop back quickly on, I love your idea of like, the fun now, fun later. I know you started with the 12-hour work day. Now you moved to the 4. I had a similar journey as well, where I was working like 24 hours at this,
Yeah.
like in entertainment. And then now I'm switching. Do you, just from your personal POV, like, do you think that that's like almost like a rite of passage, that like in order to get to the other side of this freedom and fun and play, that like there is a level, because I think so many people see your day 100 and compare their day 0 to it and just want to fucking like expedite there. What is your message to people that are desiring to start a dream, that are thinking that they can just automatically tomorrow wake up and have a 4-day work week and it just work?
I wish you could just immediately accelerate, but also I'm so glad you can't, because if you could immediately accelerate, everyone would be working 4 hours a day, a couple days a week, right? So it's like there is a rite of passage, there is that scaling. I'm going to be honest. I feel like some people are so skilled they don't need the 12 hours a day. I just personally, like, I used to be the girl in high school that, like, I wasn't super social media savvy. I didn't know how to go viral on social media. I used to be in my chemistry class looking at the girls filming TikToks, and I, like, literally was like, that is so cringy. Like, that is, what are they doing? And now I'm a TikTok strategist, and I'm like, what the heck? But, like, for me, I had to put in the amount of hours. Some people are just, like, naturally really good at something, in which case, maybe you don't have to invest 12 hours a day in the beginning, but I just decided these are the skills I want to get good at. I want to get good at marketing. I want to get good at entrepreneurship. I want to get good at business, self-improvement. So I'm just going to dedicate all of my time to that. And then I got 10 times better. And I think anyone can take the advice of the more time, the more action you take, the better it's going to be if you double down on something. So whether you're an expert or not, either way, working hard is going to be a good thing. Like, it's like it's the supplement that everyone should be taking, right?
Yeah.
But some people are not going to have to work as hard as others, and that's okay.
I love it. I love it. Well, as we wrap up here, I would love to give you the opportunity. I know we talked about the Rejecto app, but we're going to put in the show notes ways to contact you, your TikTok, your YouTube, whatever you want to show down there. But if there's anything you want to plug right here and now for anybody that's just listening, this is your opportunity to do so.
Yeah, the app's brand new, so we'd love anyone's feedback on like how they feel about the app and when they're using it. So like, feel free to download the app, shoot me a DM on Instagram with your honest thoughts. Like, literally criticize it, roast it, tell me what you want. Like, we're in the beginning stages. We want to make it the best app possible, and the way we're going to do that is with people around the world, different perspectives helping us. And then, yeah, if you want to go viral with your personal brand on social media, I've generated like over 20 million views. Personal branding has changed my life, and I think we're in the society of personal branding. So if you go over to my Instagram, you can apply for whatever offer I'm currently running right now. My group program is like booked out for the next 2 weeks, but I should have more spots opening. So you can just follow me on Instagram for any and all of that. But I'm really excited to see people download the app. And then if they want help with personal branding, I'm there for that too. But like, building your dream life is so possible. First, you just got to believe it, and then you've got to take action, and you've got it.
Yeah. Oh my God, this conversation was so fun. I cannot wait to join the app and start trying these challenges. It sounds so much fun. You guys, if you like this episode, please feel free to DM me. Let me know what you thought. If you haven't already done so, like, comment, subscribe, all the things. Check out Maureen's page. Follow her on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, LinkedIn. Let's go make some magic, guys. Thank you again, and we'll see you on the next one.
Thank you.